So here you go. I took it and I stuck it over that, just like that, no hassle. And I said, wow, that could work. So the next day my guys came in. I told you I was going to move around a little bit. My guys came in and I said, look, you got to do everything. You got to do the estimating, you got to do the building, you got to do the planning, you got to interface with the customers, you got to do everything. Because I don't have time to do anything but figure out how I'm going to make this product. So for the next 3 months, I sat at my desk with no internet. This was in 1997. And I tried to source the material, the equipment, the machinery, the technology, and begin to understand how possibly I could mass produce this tiny, little, insignificant product. After 3 months, I got my first sample. And it looked just like this. Produced it. And for drama's sake, I peeled it off, not knowing what was going to happen, and I put it over that screw hole, just like that, and the rest was history. I took it to a trade show down in Los Angeles, and I didn't have money for a booth, which were very expensive, and I asked my sales rep, who came around and called me as a cabinet maker, have you got any ideas how I could market this product? And he said, well, you need to go to a trade show to show it to people. And he thought it was a good idea. So he worked for a big German company called Mepla. And he asked the president of Mepla in Germany if it was okay if little old Paul could sit in his booth at the Anaheim Convention Center, an international woodworking fair, and give out samples of these products with a little cheesy brochure that I'd created. And now this is the most posh German booth you've ever seen. I mean, we're talking Mercedes, it's it. And I'm in there a hick for all intents and purposes. And people came into the booth and I handed them a sheet and handed them a brochure. I went home. There were $7,000 worth of orders in the fax machine at a penny apiece. The next month there were 12. The next month there was 18. The next month there was 25. The next month, there was 35. It just kept going. So I had a bull by the tail, if you will. And the company started growing, and people started hearing the story, and they said, wow, that's an amazing story. I had $150 million companies that I was selling my product to, that the presidents of the company were walking up to me at trade shows and saying, I don't know if you're aware of this, but we're calling this the year of FastCap. You are everywhere, and everybody's talking about this product. So about 4 years transpired. The first 4 years, very difficult. We had no money, although I was pretty well off in that I invested in real estate, but we had tapped out everything. We had mortgaged, borrowed, done everything we could to get this going. And my wife was managing 6 credit cards at a time, fully maxed out, maxing them out and then getting another 6 and transferring over. Tough times. Not easy time. I think she thought I was crazy at the time, though, that I was going after it because I had a sense that there was something significant here. I wasn't going to just passively do it. And the interesting thing about that is, my wife and I, when we first started doing the FastCap, we said to ourselves, you know what? Wouldn't it be cool if we could just make an extra $5,000 a year so we could go on vacation? That was our goal. I think of that all the time when I push the igniter button on my turbine aircraft as I'm ready to launch to 27,000 feet. Pretty amazing to go from something as small as that to where we are today. So what happened was, 4 years into it, I came across a chance encounter with a manufacturing process that took me and bowled me over. I was having problems managing inventory. I was having problems managing everything, frankly. I had a lot of employees. It was difficult. Everything I did was, it was 1 o'clock in the morning, waking up at 4 in the morning. Randy lived by me. He might remember some of that a little bit because it was insane. We had people packed in our driveway. You couldn't even get in and out of our driveway because we were operating all this out of my house. At one time, we had 18 cars in the driveway. So I went to Tom Dorr, and I said, I'm having problems managing all the inventory and everything. And he said, you should really talk to Tracy from the Washington Manufacturers Association and see if he can't help you out. So I contacted Tracy, and Tracy came out and walked around my plant and looked at it and said, I said, so Tracy, what do you think? Should I buy some software? What should I do to manage this system? Because I can't do it. And he said, well, you want to know the truth, Paul? And I said, yeah, I want to know the truth. He says, you don't know what you're doing. And I said, okay. I said, so what am I doing wrong? And he said, you need to learn something called TPS. I said, what's that? He said, the Toyota Production System. Never heard of it. I said, how do I learn about it? He said, well, you can hire these consultants. I know these two guys from Japan. They were raised in Japan, and they know it really well, and they could come in and do it. And I said, well, how much? And he said, well, you know, between $10,000 and $20,000 for a week. I'm going, no. I walked into my wife, another moment where she said I was crazy, and I said, honey, we need to spend $20,000 for 1 week to have these guys come in and teach us this system. She said, no way, we can't afford to do that. And I said, we have to do it. So I humbled myself and brought these two Japanese consultants into my facility, and in 1 week, they turned our place upside down. We were manufacturing millions of caps a day, putting them on the shelf, and then selling them as we needed them. We were doing huge batch work. And we had a great big racks that were beautifully done with all this finished product sitting everywhere, and people would push their carts up and down the rows, and it just looked like the perfect American factory. And they said, all wrong, can't do it. I go, what are you talking about? You can't do it. How are we going to fill our orders? He goes, no, you're going to make what you need for the day, and that's it. I go, no way. I said, how am I going to do that? And he says, well, you're going to just figure out how to do it more efficiently. And they asked me, why are you producing so much? And I said, because that machine over there is very difficult to set up. It takes us 45 minutes to set up. And they said, well, we need to work on getting that setup machine, so you only need to make what you need, and then you can change out to the new die or whatever you're going to do. So they went over there, and in the course of 2 days, proceeded to take it from max time 45 minutes to about 3 minutes. And then I began to understand what they were talking about. They went to the root of the problem. Then they went over to our laser jam device, another product that we were developing and selling all over the world, that was taking, again, 35, 40 minutes to produce, and we'd make it in a great big batch work. We'd have 300 of them set up on these beautiful tables that I built. It looked spectacular. You'd walk into our shop, and there were all these poles all lined up in a row with labels and stickers on them and decals, and it just looked great. It was the perfect American manufacturing plant. And they said, nope, can't do that. You got to make one at a time. I go, there's no way. He goes, oh yeah. So they took this gigantic warehouse that we had set up for doing laser jam and shrunk it down to an area from the distance from that end of that table to about the end of this table and made a little U-shaped cell. And we started making one laser jam at a time. 7 minutes. And the beauty of that was that when we got one done at the end, and there was a problem with it, how many did we have to fix? One. But when we made those 300 and there was a problem with it, how many did we have to fix? 300. And they said, that's why you don't want to do batch work.